Hi, everyone. This is Charles Hoskinson broadcasting live from warm, sunny North Carolina out on the lake. Just out here visiting some friends and family for Thanksgiving and rented a little lake house out in damn middle of nowhere south of Charlotte. And it's just so beautiful out here. You have perfect sunny 70-degree weather. You have beautiful trees outside. Rode a pontoon boat all around, catfish running around. It's just a beautiful place to spend Thanksgiving. I love North Carolina. Many of you know that one of my first companies in the space was Invictus Innovations, and I was based for a little while, Blacksburg, Virginia, which is just a little north of the border with North Carolina. So every now and then I'd go a little bit south, but it is certainly nice to be in this part of the state. And I wanted to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving. I hope everyone's having a lot of fun. It's a funny thing. I run a company in 40 countries. 39 don't celebrate Thanksgiving. One does. I guess Canada does too, but it's a different month than we Americans. So a lot of people were working today and they were perplexed why I took the day off. And I said, I assure you, it's actually a pretty big holiday for us. That said, a lot of people have had a hard Thanksgiving. In fact, I just found out that some people I know have been arrested for having a Thanksgiving celebration that was too large. And that's a theme around the entire United States. And it got me thinking, and it's something that I did want to talk a little bit about. I've been talking a lot about the vaccines that are coming out. And a lot of people ask, why are you so obsessed with these vaccines? And to me, it's basically the political object required to restart the world. And it's in everyone's best interest, wherever they sit, for this to end. The politicians made some decisions, and the decisions that they made over the last year have been pretty devastating to many people. And they can't undo those decisions. They can't walk them back, nor can the media. So the symbol to end this epidemic, this pandemic, whether coronavirus actually goes away or not, is mass vaccination. So whether you agree with that or not, it is basically the thing that's going to get us out of this and get the world back to a notion of normal. Now, there are some policy questions, though, that are coming up because the goalposts keep getting moved time and again, time and again, time and again. So these lockdowns, these arrests, these ticketings, which are just blatantly anti-American and against any semblance of constitutionality, they say, well, it's for the good of society. And we have to keep doing this because it's for the good of society. We have to protect the vulnerable. So it looks like the United States is going to approve the Pfizer vaccine December 10th and begin shipments of the Pfizer vaccine to all 64 territories, so 50 states plus 14 territories, December 11th to December 12th this year. Tens of millions of doses are already available. The Moderna vaccine is likely going to ship somewhere around December 18th to December 24th, the day before Christmas. The combined rate of production and shipping that's been prepared in the United States will mean that somewhere between 10 to 15 million people per month can be vaccinated, with a strong bias towards the vulnerable at-risk groups and critical workers. Now, here's the interesting policy question that comes up. The whole point of shutting the world down was because the vulnerable people are at a high degree of risk, some cases greater than 5%, if infected with this disease. Well, once those vaccines ship and those vulnerable populations are inoculated, all the data, they indicate that this is no longer a statistical concern for them. So as we vaccinate 10 to 15 million people per month, at what point have we vaccinated enough of the vulnerable people to say, even though some people are going to die, normal behavior will resume? For large groups of people in the world, COVID, while it can be problematic, it's not really any more problematic than influenza. For certain groups of people, it's significantly more so. If those groups of people have been vaccinated, then at what point, what stage do we say, okay, we've reached that threshold, Time to take the masks off, time to end the lockdowns, no more social distancing. The world is back to normal. It's a really interesting question. What I have heard over the last few months in particular, now that the vaccines have shown to be safe and effective, especially the mRNA vaccines, is that we have to wait for the whole world to get vaccinated. The whole world. This has never happened for any disease in human history. And there have been mass vaccination attempts for polio, for smallpox, for all kinds of ailments. And it has taken decades, if not centuries, for us to get to a point where there was reasonable coverage of the world. It is insane to have a standard that the entire world be vaccinated for us to get back to work. And it's something that I think everybody needs to start thinking about, voting about, moving into 2021. The politicians got their way. The world was shut down. Those decisions are going to be reviewed for many years to come. And a lot of questions are going to be asked, and this will not be forgotten. You know, we tend to have short-term memories, but the harm that was done to society, the suicides, the domestic violence, the broken up marriages, the trauma to children, losing an entire school year of their lives, the lies and the lack of faith in institutions, the shutbacks, all these things, the starvation that's going to occur as a consequence of shutting the global economy down, contrasted with a grand miracle of science where for the first time in human history, we were able to develop multiple vaccines in under 1 year. Usually it takes 4 years, 5 years when we're working really fast. To be able to do that in 1 year has never been done before. So now the clock is ticking as of December 12th. And every month that clicks, some meaningful percentage of the US population will be vaccinated. There will never be a case that 100% will be vaccinated. It's just not going to happen. So what is the percentage that needs to be vaccinated before we all get back to work and this madness ends? Now, in the coming months, you're going to see a lot of surges in the United States for coronavirus. And that surge is going to be due to Thanksgiving and due to Christmas and the holiday season. People are traveling en masse. People are aggregating in closed doors, and people are spending more time indoors because it's cold. And we'll see a humongous surge of cases. And I would not be surprised if we double the amount of coronavirus cases on the books in the next 3 to 6 months. And we see 400,000 or 500,000 people total die before the vaccination effect kicks in. But then after that, the mortality rate is going to plummet massively. It already has. It's gone down to 85% because we simply have better treatments. So this is going to be the challenge of 2021. And there's going to be a lot of conversation about it. Our industry is going to be brought in at some point. Already half of my country feels that the US election system is probably rigged and broken, or there are substantive problems with the way we're doing things. So there's a huge demand for changes there. And there's going to be a whole new wave of politicians in 2022 that are demanding change as well. So as you know, we look to the end of the holidays and the end of this year, and we say, well, was it worth it? We have to make it worth it. Those are my thoughts on the matter. And we have to basically hold the governments accountable for giving us real numbers and real thresholds and say, okay, at this point, everything's all right. The goalposts keep being moved over and over and over again. And it's about damn time that they be properly set. We're all tired of this. And I'm tired of hearing people getting arrested for seeing their family members. Some of their family members have cancer and are going to die this year and not have another Thanksgiving. But they're being told that they should die alone without anyone around in a hospital instead of seeing their family because they're risk potentially of something. You know, that's the reality we're facing today. And it's a dark and terrible one. And this is something caused by an uncaring mass media and something caused by politicians who are not accountable. And the scientists have done their job. They've delivered great therapeutics and they've delivered great medicines, great vaccines. And now it's time we do our job and demand goalposts to be set. How many people need to be vaccinated? What groups need to be vaccinated? What are the percentages and thresholds before we no longer have to wear masks? We no longer have to social distance and things get back to normal. And if we're told, wait and see, if we're told the whole world, we're told it's never going to get back to normal, then I'm going to run for president in 2024. And damn it, I'll find a way to win. And I'll punish every single politician that had that opinion. This is not the new normal. This is not how life is meant to be. Families should not be torn apart. Religion should not be broken down. And constitutional rights of free movement should not be restricted. Dictatorships do that. Gulags do that. Horrible, evil people do that. I understand that this is a unique time, and it probably would have been done during the Spanish flu had technology been more advanced. Okay, we played the game, and now we have effective therapeutics and effective treatments, and the vulnerable people, will get the help very soon that they need, that this is no longer a threat. The world sacrificed for them. So it's now time for the world to ask, when does this end? And I hope that leaving this year, not only do we ask that, but then we say, how do we regain faith in institutions and trust in institutions moving forward? My industry exists strictly because we no longer trust institutions. My industry exists strictly because people no longer have faith in each other. Why would people be so crazy to buy imaginary internet money that lives somewhere in the cloud, created by a process called mining with no central issuer, no promise or guarantee behind it, no face behind it, no company behind it? They do this because institutions have failed. And the very people that have told us again and again and again, just trust us, we know what we're doing, we got it all figured out, have let us down. And so we looked at 2021 and 2022 and beyond. That genie's not going to go back into the bottle. And the world is increasingly fragmented and skeptical about the way that things are. And we have to rise up and demand something different and something better. I just do not want to live in a world where you can't trust anyone. I don't want to live in a world where we don't even know who's actually trying to help versus who's trying to hurt us. I understand, for example, why there's so much skepticism with vaccines. You'll see a tweet where I mentioned I was a little skeptical of the adenovirus vaccines. And sure enough, it turns out that the AstraZeneca trials were poorly constructed and the data looks bad there. And so this shows you that even when the world's on fire and burning and falling apart, and people are saying they're here to help, that things didn't get done properly or things got over politicized under this level of scrutiny. But it can get better. It has to get better. And we have the capacity to make things better. And that's what we're going to do. So as we look to the future, post-Turkey Day, post-Christmas, that's what we're going to be pushing for as a species, as a society, and certainly me as a company. And I do think we can build things back a lot better than they were before. And I do think that we have an opportunity to regain the broken trust only if we do things differently and better. So the very first step is demanding transparency and accountability to those who govern, and that can be done on a global basis. So a very fundamental question must be asked. What percentage must be vaccinated of what groups before everything gets back to normal? Put a number in the ground. And yes, beyond that number, people will die. Every year, people die from flu, 30,000 or more in the United States. We as a society accept that. Full stop. So, by getting us to that mortality rate, will it be acceptable then? If not, why? Why can we live normal one way, but not the other way? And who gets to make that decision? I'm sure as hell going to ask this question every single month to every governor I meet, every congressman I meet, every senator I meet, and if I meet the president, certainly to him. And I encourage all of you to do the exact same. And I'm going to push the media to ask this question and everybody I know to ask this question. Because guess what? Every tick of the clock, every month, tens of millions of people will be vaccinated. New vaccines are coming online, and these vaccines are effective. And it's a consequence of being effective. They take people who would ordinarily have a very hard time with this disease, the ones that we have to worry about, and they move them into the category of don't have to worry as much anymore. At least they live life just like a flu season at that point. That's good enough, I think, for all of us. But then if we're told the standard is we have to wait for all 8 billion people of the world to be vaccinated, then this isn't a public health crisis anymore. It's a dictatorial control over our day-to-day lives. We've all been patient. We've all dealt with this, and it has to stop. And so let's make it stop by asking when, how, and why. And if they can't answer it, don't vote for anyone who can't. Just that simple. Happy Turkey Day, everybody. I hope you had a good time with friends and family, and I hope you enjoyed your day. And I know I certainly did. And I'll see everybody soon. Cheers.